everyone, and welcome to this episode of Troubleshooting with Jay, where I'm going to talk to you about what happens to our skin during winter, how we can solve the problems that are going to affect so many of our clients over the next few months, understanding what it is and how we can help solve their problems and recommend some products to help them. So what I would like to talk to you about is this thing called Trans-Epidermal Water Loss. So this is kind of a fancy pants way of explaining what happens. It's a normal function within the skin. So using my high-tech devices again, this is a picture of the epidermis. This is the stratum corneum, and the outermost layers here, and this is the deeper levels of the epidermis, and then we have the dermis lower down. Basically what happens is that there's free moisture in our cells, and as the skin gets attacked from above by various environmental factors and lots of other trigger factors, which we'll talk about in a minute, you can get an increase in the trans-epidermal water loss, and then the skin can become dry, brittle, uncomfortable. And what can happen is that then these little fissures appear, and then things can go in that we don't want to go in, and more water can come out. So you can see on this side, this is a healthy epidermis, and this one is one that has a lot more trans-epidermal water loss. So it's a normal process, and it happens in some skins. It happens more readily. In fact, true dry skins have less lipid protection in their skin than an oily skin, and as a result those lipids are normally on the surface of the skin, and they protect the skin from the trans-epidermal water loss through evaporation. So a true dry skin doesn't have as many of those lipids to protect them, so that's even less comfortable. But I'm just talking about a normal skin, and everybody's situation is exacerbated in winter. So why do we need more protection in winter than, say, summer? Well, it comes down to a few factors, and they're fairly logical, really. Let's think about the weather. When we're out and about in the cold weather, it's blasting our face, and any free moisture that is on the face can get knocked and blown off. I know it sounds very basic, but I'm trying to make it easy to understand. When we're in heaters, again, the heat from the heaters takes all the moisture out of the air. When there's no moisture in the air, there's no free moisture to bind with the skin, and our skin becomes more dehydrated. And also we get colds and flus and more illness during this time of the year as well, and that can affect the barrier function around the nose. We can get chapped lips. We have lots more issues with dehydration and irritation. And like I said before, when the barrier function of the skin is compromised in any way, the trans-epidermal water loss is greater, and then therefore the problem becomes cyclic and even more problematic for your clients. So what we need to do is we need to recommend solutions for our clients. One thing I would like to say, if the barrier function isn't compromised, that exfoliation can really help, because the dead skin cells are removed off of the skin, and then any products that we're using on top of the skin are going to be able to penetrate and work better to help reduce the trans-epidermal loss. Not all moisturizers are the same. We have basically three types of moisturizers. There's humectants. What a humectant does is it binds the free moisture that's in the air and on the surface of the skin back to the skin. So it holds the skin. And a really great example of a humectant is hyaluronic acid. And you may have heard of this ingredient. It's around in the media all the time, and it's actually found naturally in the skin anyway. And it has the ability to bind 1,000 times its own weight in water. And so when you put that topically on the skin, it binds any free moisture and holds that hydration to the skin, which makes the skin much more comfortable. The next type of moisturizer is an occlusive, and basically occlusives sit on top of the skin and they reduce the amount, some of them absorb in, and emollients are kind of an example of that. A true occlusive is something like Vaseline. but we don't really want to put Vaseline on our skin. But emollients will help to sort of form a barrier on the skin and stop that that moisture from escaping. And then they have combination ones of humectants and occlusives. And what happens there is that they're a lighter formulation, so they're slightly occlusive, but they also bind any free moisture from the air and from that's coming up from the skin and stopping it from escaping. So we want to make sure we understand what we're recommending to our clients and why and how they work. So then when the clients understand, so it's a really good idea to understand the basics and help them solve their problems. So I'm just going to give you 2 examples from products that I absolutely adore. Number 1 is the Cuccio butter blend and the butter blend scrub and the butter and scrub. So like I said before, working with an exfoliation prior to moisturizing, it's such a sensational solution. This butter scrub is quite unique because it blends a butter and a scrub. The scrub part is a bamboo granule, and it's natural and beautiful. It's very light, it's very comfortable on the skin. It doesn't need to be washed off. So in the salon you can use this as a dry exfoliation treatment, but at home the clients can use it in the shower, then shower, or use it after the shower on slightly damp skin, and that's beautiful. And then follow up with our famous body butter. The cool part about this body butter is that it is non-oily. So it offers an occlusive barrier to the skin, but it also absorbs in, and the emollients in this particular moisturizer are very unique. And they are a time release moisturizer, so every 2 hours the emollient releases its hydration, so you never feel oily, you just feel really comfortable. The skin feels fantastic. It's a great product. You can retail this combo for $49.95 to your clients, which is great value, and this fits really handily in your purse. This is this is one that I've used, and Milk and Honey is the #1 fragrance. Comes in 6 beautiful fragrances. The other thing I wanted to show you is the BioElements body smoothing system, and this includes a dry body brush, and that's the reason I bring that up. Dry body brushing is a fantastic way for clients to exfoliate their skin at home by lightly it stimulates the lymphatic flow, which is also improving their body's health, but it also takes off the dead skin cells. And then they can wash, so you do that dry and then wash in the shower. And this is my favorite body wash. It's the only one that I use in the shower. It's highly aromatic, but really beautifully light. It's very nutritious. I just adore this particular product. And then our Extremely Emollient, which is an emollient body cream afterwards. I think this is on special this week. You must ask in the showroom. Anyway, the reason I bring those up is because you want to recommend a complete solution for your clients that isn't going to break the bank for them. When it comes to skincare, I do recommend that you go to your beauty therapist, and of course, hopefully they would be using BioElements because it's amazing. However, there's lots of different options and a lot more things to take into consideration, and our troubleshooting video would end up being 5 hours long if I started telling you all about those different options that there are. So I hope you enjoyed that. If there's any questions, please ask me. Otherwise, I shall see you next week, and have an amazing evening.